Think about the clothes you're wearing, the phone in your hand, maybe the coffee you're drinking. Chances are, most of it got to you on a ship. We kind of take this massive, incredibly complex system of global trade for granted. But here's the thing. Right now, that very system is facing what you might call a perfect storm of challenges, and it could totally reshape how everything gets from A to B.
So that leads to a pretty big question. Just how stable is that system, really? The calm seas we all imagine for global shipping, well, they're becoming a lot more turbulent. And today, we're going to dive into exactly why. Okay, so first, let's look at two of the world's most critical maritime highways. They're known as choke points, and any disruption here doesn't just stay local, it sends ripples across the entire globe. What's happening in these choke points really shows two totally different kinds of threats playing out. Over in the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, it's all about geopolitical tension. There's a super fragile ceasefire that's letting some ships return, which is good, but the situation is still incredibly tense and uncertain. Now contrast that with the Black Sea. That isn't just tension, that's an active military conflict zone. We're talking drone attacks on oil tankers. The risk there is immediate, and it's sending insurance costs through the roof. So here's the main takeaway, and it's a big one. Even when you get a little bit of good news, like the Red Sea partially reopening, the instability simmering underneath it all creates these huge headaches for logistics planners. Sure, it shaves off transit time, which is great, but that constant threat means higher costs, and having complex backup plans are just the new normal now. But it's not just big, state-level conflicts that are causing all this instability. There's another threat, one that a lot of us probably thought was a thing of the past, and it is making a serious comeback. We're talking about piracy.
137. That's the number of reported piracy and armed robbery incidents just in 2025. And this isn't just a few isolated events, it's a significant spike. And the criminals are getting way more brazen, using firearms and even trying to hijack entire ships.
And here's the really wild part. The problem is incredibly concentrated. Get this, more than half of all global incidents are happening in one single location, the Singapore Straits. And this isn't some remote, out-of-the-way waterway. It's one of the busiest and most vital shipping lanes on the planet. And that concentration of crime has massive downstream effects. This quote really nails it. It forces a complete reevaluation of risk for the entire industry. It's not just about the value of the cargo anymore. It directly affects crew safety. It changes how shipping routes are planned. And ultimately, it impacts the cost and reliability of getting pretty much everything across the world. So, okay, we have physical threats at choke points and a rise in piracy. But on top of all that, the economic picture is just, well, it's confusing. Depending on who you ask, the outlook for 2026 is either really grim or surprisingly optimistic. I mean, this contradiction is pretty striking. On one side, you've got financial analysts like Fitch Ratings looking at all the big-picture economic data, and they've got a negative outlook. But then on the other side, a survey of actual supply chain leaders by DP World shows a high degree of optimism. And these are the folks on the ground, managing the flow of goods every day. So what's going on here? It really just boils down to two different perspectives. The analysts, they see these big macroeconomic headwinds, things like slowing demand and way more shipping capacity, which pushes prices down. But the trade leaders on the front lines, they see an underlying resilience in the system. Their view is that if, and it's a big if, all these geopolitical and criminal risks can be managed well, trade will find a way to grow. Okay, so let's pull all these different threads together. We've got geopolitical conflict, a serious resurgence in piracy, and these totally conflicting economic forecasts. What does all of this actually mean for the year ahead? It really boils down to three key forces shaping the year. First, security volatility is the new constant. From conflict zones to piracy, logistics just has to be more agile than ever before. Second, those powerful economic headwinds are putting real pressure on shipping carriers' profits. And finally, the path forward seems to be collaborative planning. Getting everyone from ship owners to regulators in the same room to tackle these massive challenges together. Which leaves us with this final massive question. Is the global shipping network, the absolute backbone of our modern world, is it fundamentally resilient enough to withstand all these pressures, or is it teetering on the brink? The answer to that is likely going to define the global economy in 2026 and well beyond.